Greetings, young artists of the Rochester City School District. Today, we will be learning about the Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh, who lived from 1853 to 1890. Even today, Vincent van Gogh is one of the world's most widely recognizable artists. Despite Vincent van Gogh's short career, he created over 2,000 works of art during his lifetime. You may have seen some of Vincent van Gogh's paintings before, like Sunflowers, here on the left, and Portrait of Joseph Roulin, here on the right. Much of Van Gogh's work is recognizable by his visible brushstrokes and beautiful use of color. Today, we will look at some of Vincent van Gogh's landscapes. Vincent van Gogh was drawn to nature, and like many artists of his time, sought refuge from the noisy, busy cities of Europe by spending time living in the countryside. Van Gogh painted many landscapes from the different locations where he lived. Vincent van Gogh also painted his landscapes at different times of day and night. Van Gogh truly enjoyed painting at night. His nighttime skies are full of wonder and movement and star and moonlight. His painting, Starry Night, is based on his own observations of the night sky and the surrounding countryside, but also from his imagination and from memories of growing up in the country of Holland. In Starry Night, the sky dominates the painting with swirling stardust and a bright crescent moon, and several gleaming stars radiating over a quiet countryside. Speaking of nighttime, this week we have been learning about the winter solstice. For us here in Rochester, New York, the winter solstice occurs when the Earth's North Pole is tilted farthest from the sun. The winter solstice is the day with the shortest period of daylight and the longest period of nighttime for the year. The winter solstice is one of the oldest holidays known to mankind and has been celebrated throughout our history. Observances include fires, lighting candles, spiritual services, and special meals or feasts. In honor of the longest night of the year and shortest day, we'll be drawing our own double-sided version of Van Gogh's Starry Night. For this project, you will need paper, a pencil, an eraser in case of mistakes, and coloring supplies. I will be using markers and would encourage you to use them if you have your own. You will want to go get these supplies now. You can pause the video while you go find them, and you can hit play when you return. If at any point the video is going too fast for you, remember that you can stop and pause and even rewind. Let's take one more look at Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night and notice some of the important things about the painting. The glowing moon and stars, the swirling stardust, the cypress tree on the left-hand side pointing up towards the top of the painting, the rolling hillsides, and the small country village below. The first thing that you'll want to do to start the project is fold your paper in half from top to bottom. Take the top edge of your paper, fold it down to the bottom edge, line up the two ends of your paper as neatly as you can, then hold down with one hand the edges so that they don't move and use your other hand to press your paper flat. Then you can unfold your paper and using a pencil or a marker, you can draw to trace over the folded line in the middle. This will separate your paper into the two halves for our two drawings. Let's take a look at the cypress tree from Starry Nights. The edges are made of wavy lines. The tips are made of pointed ends. It stretches almost to the very top of the painting and comes all the way down to the bottom. On the left side of your paper, on the top half, draw a wavy line that stretches up towards the top of your paper. Put some pointed ends to make some points towards the tip top, and then bring that same wavy line down on the other side. You can add a couple more points on the right-hand side if you would like. Make sure it comes down to the bottom of your half of the paper. Next, we'll want to draw the rolling hillsides. On the right-hand side of your paper, you'll want to put a dot about halfway down the right-hand side. Then on the left-hand side of your paper, you'll want to draw a small dot about 3/4 of the way down. Connect the two dots by drawing a wavy line in between that stretches across the paper, and make sure you pick up your pencil or marker when you get to the cypress tree. You'll notice that this project is going to focus a lot on using lines and colors. Next, you'll want to trace the same image from the top onto the bottom of your paper. To do that, you'll need to go to the window. Last week, we learned how we can create symmetry, which means the same on both sides, by folding our paper in half and using the window as a light box. You can fold your paper in half and take it to any window in your home that you can reach. You'll want to press your paper with the drawing facing the window glass and the blank side of the paper facing you. You should be able to see your drawing coming through so that you can trace over your lines using your pencil. If it's hard for you to see, you may need to trace over your lines with a marker first, and then fold your paper again in half and go back to the window. Once you have traced the cypress tree and the rolling hillside, you're ready to move on to the next step of the drawing. To start making our starry night, you're going to want to use a marker. In the top right-hand corner of your paper, draw the letter C using a yellow or an orange. After you draw the letter C, trace back, around, and farther out from that letter C, connecting back in at the top to finish your moon. You can color it in using your yellow or orange, and then you'll be ready to move on to the next step. For the next step, we'll want to create the swirling stardust that we see in the sky. You'll want to use again your yellow or orange, and you'll move to the middle of the paper. Draw a small spiral that curls out and up and away towards the left side of your paper. Make sure you pick up your marker when you get to the cypress tree. You can finish that spiral on the left-hand side. Then you can come back to the middle. Underneath your first spiral, draw a spiral that curls out to the right and waves its way right off the edge of the paper. Next, you'll want to add some stars to the sky. So you'll want to use your yellow or orange to make some small dots spread out in the night sky. Add no more than 10 and make sure that you keep them spread out. Next, you'll want to use your marker to trace some of the glowing lines around the moon, the stars, and the stardust lines. Use your yellow and your orange to create small dotted lines that circle around the moon and your stars. When you finish, you can trace the wavy line shape of your swirling stardust using the same short dotted lines. Your sky is starting to fill up with a glowing color, just like Vincent van Gogh's. Next, you'll want to get out a blue marker. You're going to fill in the space around the moon and the stars and the swirling stardust with short horizontal lines. You're making lots of little dotted lines right across the paper and filling in the entire night sky. Make sure that you don't use the blue. Make sure that you don't draw with your blue below the rolling hillside line that you've made. Just fill in the sky. After you finish drawing lots of little dotted lines with your blue, you may want to get out purple or even black to try to fill in some of the little spaces in between your blue dotted lines with purple or black. I filled in some space using purple. Next, we will work on filling in the cypress tree. To fill in the cypress tree, you are going to use wavy lines. You'll want to start by working in brown. Draw lots of short wavy lines throughout the inside of the cypress tree's outline. After you have drawn lots of brown wavy lines, you can get out your green and draw lots of green wavy lines to fill in the outline. When you're done, you want to get out your black marker and add some black wavy lines on the inside just to darken it up a little bit more. Next, you'll want to move to the little village below and draw some simple shapes for buildings like homes and even maybe a church or some stores. I would encourage you to use purple and blue to fill in your buildings. Keep them very simple, and remember, you don't need to draw a lot of them, but try to fill in some of the space with little country buildings. To finish filling in your starry night sky or starry night painting, you will want to use short vertical green lines to fill in the ground and the rolling hillsides below. Keep the lines close together, keep them short, and use the green. When you're finished, you will have your starry night sky. Now that we are done with our starry night, let's work on our starry day. Now that we know the process for making our starry night, we can do the same thing to create our starry day. You may want to use the window again to help make sure that your lines match for the sun and for the wavy lines that this time will be waving cloud lines. You can fold your paper in half and take it back to the window, and then you can trace to make sure that your sun is in the same spot that the moon was, and that your spiral lines are waving in the same direction as the swirling stardust. You can also trace the buildings from the country village below so that they match the ones in the starry night. Next, we're going to use our yellow and orange to trace short dotted line circles around the sun to show its warm radiating glow. Then we'll use our purple to draw short dotted lines tracing the shape of the wavy swirling cloud lines. Next, we'll use short horizontal red lines to fill in the sky so that it looks like the time of day is either sunrise or sunset. Just like you filled in the night sky with blue, you'll fill in your daytime sky with red. Next, you'll want to fill in the cypress tree with wavy lines, just like you did before for the night sky. This time, focus on using just brown and green. Don't worry about adding the black lines to the inside as well. After you work on the cypress tree, you can start to fill in the rolling hillsides and the ground below in the village. Use your yellow to make short vertical lines to fill in that space. After you finish, you'll want to get out your green and do the same thing to fill in the spaces between the yellow lines. When you're finished, you will have your very own starry day. Now you will have a symmetrical drawing of starry night and starry day. to celebrate the winter solstice. When you finish your artwork, please share it with your art teacher. You can also post an image of your artwork on social media and include the hashtag RCSDArts. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Vincent van Gogh with me and to create our own solstice project. Happy creating!